Scene Mom says, welcome to the new podcast from former Phoenix radio host Danny Cutler. Each week bringing you independent music, industry news, the occasional interview, and other fun segments. Let's get to it. Scene Mom says hello and welcome to episode number 71. I'm Danny, your host and Scene Mom, and as always, I am very glad you joined me. Thank you so much. I hope everybody has had a good week. Welcome to meteorological fall. Yes, my Phoenix friends, it's a real thing. September 1st. The leaves are already starting to change, but unfortunately, it's mostly due to it being so dry here this summer. I'm waiting on one last heat wave before fall really settles in, but I have loved having the windows open every day, pretty much. We also just celebrated 2 years living in our home. We moved to Winchendon on August 30th in 2023, though we made it to Massachusetts about 6 weeks earlier. I have found a lively music scene in both Boston and North Central and Western Massachusetts, which the scenes are different, yes, trust me. I've also discovered so many amazing indie bands around the country and the world since beginning this podcast. My business is slowly but surely growing. I have made friends, not just in the music scene, but right in my town by joining the Cultural Council and the Chamber of Commerce. It definitely feels like home now. I am also so grateful to all of you listening. You are part of this journey, and I'm very glad that you do listen every week. On that note, let's get back to the show. I have your music news, history, your marketing tip, and 5 awesome indie tracks for you, including my pick of the week. So let's get back to that music with the latest single from Boston band Little Billy Lost. In their new single called Tonight, they express that there is no other time than right here, right now, when you're making a change. Scene Mom says, take a listen.
but I won't back down this time. And all your tricks are getting old now, and the writing's on the wall. This time, this time, this time, this time. Tonight, ride the midnight special. Tonight, across the county line. Tonight, with all the sweet attention. Tonight, across the county, across the county line. Tonight, tonight.
You're listening to the Scene Mom Says podcast. Now it's time for music news.
Apple Music has launched a brand new tool that simplifies one of the biggest pain points of switching platforms, getting your playlists over. Previously, if you were moving, say, from Spotify or another service to Apple Music, you had to rely on external apps like SongShift or SoundIs to reconstruct your playlist manually. But starting now, after some testing in Australia and New Zealand, Apple has rolled out a built-in feature in the US, UK, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, and Mexico. You'll find it tucked in your music app settings under a new label called Transfer Music from Other Music Services. Very creative. From there, you can sign in with your other service and choose exactly what you want to import. Now, the general rollout follows an early beta caught in clues in Apple's own support documents and The Verge's coverage about similar features only being active in Australia and New Zealand, hinting that there would be a global rollout soon. And it couldn't have landed at a better time because across the music world, indie artists are leaving Spotify. Bands like Hotline TNT, Godspeed You, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and Deerhoof have all publicly pulled their music. And many of them do cite ethical objections, especially Spotify CEO Daniel Ek's venture fund, Prima Materia, which has backed AI-powered defense firm Helsing. And just think about all the AI stuff that I've been talking about over the past weeks with a completely made up band. And the latest thing I think I covered last week was about folk music, finding out that AI is releasing songs under their names. That's a problem. It's official now, and it is arriving just as Spotify does reface all this renewed criticism. So it could prompt more users to look for an easier reach, and I am one of them. I have been going, maybe I should stop giving my money to Spotify, don't judge me, and start giving it to Apple Music. So we'll see. Now, for anyone who's tracking arts and culture in the U.S., New Hampshire could provide some insight into what could happen in many states now with federal cuts into arts budgets. The state's creative sector, which generated about $3.5 billion in revenue in 2023, is now at risk of a double budget blow, according to a PBS NewsHour feature. On one front, there are state-driven cuts. The legislature has slashed funding for the New Hampshire State Council of the Arts by a staggering 90%, which drops support from over $1.4 million to just about $150,000 per year. And it's not just a trim, it is effectively just gutting the agency. And the fallout is significant because losing state funding means no longer being able to access over $1 million in federal support, since those federal grants require a dollar-for-dollar state match. So that's the double hit. First the state cuts, then the knockout of lost federal dollars. But what does it actually mean for those people in New Hampshire art scenes? Almost the entire council is collapsing. 6 of its 7 employees are being kicked out. Programs that rely on its grants, things like community arts projects, creative education, and even state traditions like the Percent for Art initiative in New Hampshire, are being dismantled. So to make matters worse, yes, it gets worse, lawmakers are rolling out a new mechanism called the Granite Patron for the Arts Fund, which encourages private donations from businesses in exchange for tax credits. But this fund can't be used to unlock the federal funding, so it means it can't fill the gap that's created by the state cuts, and it may even pit nonprofit art organizations against the council because now they're all trying to get corporate support. So it's really going to hurt New Hampshire's art infrastructure. Losing critical funding and grant cycles, losing staff, and dismantling long-standing programs, who knows what's going to happen? The council is pretty much defunct. So why does this matter? It's not just about art. It's about the community, and New Hampshire's creative economy fuels small businesses, schools, nonprofits, and broader civic life. So when the funding and institutional support disappears, so does the ability to sustain it. And like I said at the beginning, that could just be a window into many other states having this happen to them. So it's just not a good thing. To end on a more positive news note, again coming from New England, but closer to me in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, after more than a decade of all the hurdles and plannings and setbacks, the city just celebrated the grand opening of the Fitchburg Arts Community, which is 68 affordable housing units that are tailored for artists. So it all began when a local developer pitched the idea to the director of the Fitchburg Art Museum. And he was on board immediately, but it took some time to convince city leaders. So artist housing wasn't exactly a familiar concept, especially in Fitchburg. Now, more than a decade later, the former industrial town, which has long been a product of the decline of manufacturing, is now embracing arts and culture as part of its economic revival strategy. The Fitchburg Arts Community sits in 3 once blighted municipal buildings, the junior high school, and Old City Stables. And it was developed by New View Communities under Executive Director Mark Doan. So this whole project, which came to about $45 million, it came together thanks to about 13 years of this perseverance, including major cleanup efforts and weaving together 20 different local, state, and federal funding sources, and over $21 million in federal support. Glad they got that squared away before January of this year. Construction began in 2023, and by spring, residents started moving in. So now all the units are nearly occupied. So what does this arts community, what makes it more than just regular housing? Well, it still is very steeped in history. So there's original chalkboards from old classrooms. They hang in the units as creative features. The former auditorium is now a shared gallery, complete with soundproof rehearsal rooms and communal art studios. And the mayor put it best. He said, these aren't just places to live. They're places where musicians, painters, performers, designers, and makers of all kinds can live, work, and connect in the heart of the city. And the project has drawn artists not just from North Central Massachusetts, but all around New England. So here's a little story. A painter and retired science teacher who once taught in one of the transformed buildings now lives there. He said the project feels like it's coming full circle. A chance to have this proper studio, not just paint on his dining room table. So it's not just about affordable housing. It's breathing new life into Fitchburg, Massachusetts by bringing culture and community back to the heart of the downtown. So I think that's great. That's a wonderful story. So that's your music news this week. So if you have any feedback or any stories you want to share, you can email me, scenemomsays@gmail.com.
Seconds
That was Phoenix band Mermaid Riot with Beauty and Brains. Their new album, Blue Violent Mystery, is available today, and you can find it anywhere you stream and also on Bandcamp. A reminder, too, that the next Bandcamp Friday is tomorrow, September the 5th, where 100% of the proceeds go toward the artist. A great time, as always, to download a couple of singles, an album, hell, even go old school, get a CD or vinyl, and other merch. And artists, make sure that your Bandcamp pages are updated with current releases. I mean, old releases are good, but it's always nice to make sure you've got everything available to listeners. All right, Scene Mom says it is time for some music history. On August 31st in 1974, Carole King headlined a free concert in New York Central Park, which attracted about 100,000 people in one of the decade's biggest outdoor music events. I really wish that kind of stuff would happen a little more often from major artists. That'd be kind of cool. On September 1st in 1977, Blondie inked a deal with Chrysalis Records, paving the way for their breakthrough albums and cementing their place in the punk and new wave movement. On September 2nd in 1995, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame officially opened its doors in Cleveland, Ohio, with a massive concert featuring Chuck Berry, Bob Dylan, and Aretha Franklin. On September 3rd in 2012, I had to bring this one up because of my younger daughter. British-Irish boy band One Direction became the first group to have their first two albums debut at number 1 on the US Billboard 200. She's still a fan to this day. And on September 4th in 1972, the now iconic theme song of The Price is Right, written by Robert Israel, premiered on CBS with The Price is Right, and it became one of the most recognizable TV jingles tied to pop culture. That is some music history for you this week.
I sit alone in my corner of fire. I sit alone, but I never am bored. I'm right at home in my corner of fire. My hands are burned, but I never am cold. Across the room sits a box full of danger. It kinda hums if you listen real close, and it intrigues like a kiss from a stranger.
was the latest single from Lovina Falls called In the Corner. Another mesmerizing song off their new EP that will be available Friday, September 5th. They also have a release show coming up in the Boston area on September 13th with Count Zero, Gene Dante, and the Future Starlets. I'm very much looking forward to seeing them live again and hearing some new, to me, bands as well. Scene Mom says it is time for your marketing tip of the week. Have your announcement dates set before you start prepping. Usually when my husband hears a groan of frustration from my office, he knows that I've just received an announced notice that's for the next day or on a Friday afternoon for Monday morning. I'm not exaggerating. Not only is it terrible planning, it's just disrespectful to others' time. Think about everybody involved in your announcement. The venue, other artists, promoters. So how do you decide on an announcement date? That's pretty easy. You take the date of the show and you go back 4 to 6 weeks. The announcement date is the first thing you should send everyone involved in the event so they can get it in their calendars. Having that date helps everyone prepare for the announcement and there are no last-minute surprises. So when should that be sent? Well, in a perfect world, as soon as you have the event date and the details locked in. But at the very least, a couple of weeks leeway is sufficient. I personally think at least a month, but 2 weeks is still less stressful than the day before or a Friday before a Monday announce. As you probably recall, I did an entire checklist covering all you need to do before an announcement date. I'll put that link in the show notes for you. And as always, if you want to chat more about marketing and promoting your music or your brand, you can always schedule a consultation with me at dannycutler.com. And you can also subscribe to the newsletter for even more. And there is also the private Facebook group. I will have all the links in the show notes. Now it is time for my music pick of the week. New York City band Say She grabbed me the instant I heard them singing Forget Me Not via NPR Music. I could not wait to play them on my radio show in Phoenix, and they have been one of my favorites ever since. They also have an album coming out. It seems to be release season. Their album Cut and Rewind will be available on October the 3rd. I just love their funky, not quite pop, but danceable music, and their harmonies are amazeballs. This is their latest single off of that album coming up, Disco Life, and it is Scene Mom's Pick of the Week.
Break the ground, burning bright. 4 more steps into
Again, that was my pick of the week, New York band Say She She and Disco Life. C-Mom says now it's time for some nerdy news this week. After years of whispers among collectors, the moment is happening. Darth Vader's original lightsaber, the actual prop used in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, is heading to auction in September, actually this week. It marks the first time ever that such a prop from the original trilogy is entering the private collector market. Hosted by Prop Store, this auction isn't just about this one item. It is a treasure trove of over 1,000 iconic Hollywood props and costumes. So alongside Vader's saber, you will see Harrison Ford's bullwhip and belt from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, a Men in Black neuralizer, and a lot more cinematic relics. Estimated at between $1 million and $3 million, the saber is being treated as a, quote, grail-level artifact, almost mythical find in the memorabilia world. It will tour globally before landing in LA for bidding. Now, what makes this even more fascinating is how the saber origins were authenticated. Experts identified physical markers like a small steel post that was used to mount the blade and the saber's construction from a camera flash handle dressed up with wiring and other materials. Now, the event's not just for big spenders, even though it's going to go for an insane amount. Prop Store is offering both in-person and virtual bidding, making some items accessible even with starting prices as low as $200. Something tells me the saber will not start at $200. So the draw for fanatics or casual collectors is the same, the magic of holding this piece of cinematic history in your hands. Maybe if it does bid at $200, I'll have a Christmas present for my husband. was the latest from Boston band Crow Follow and Golden Days. They call it an anthem for the simple flow of life. And I think that's a great way to end episode 71. Links to all of the music and news heard this week will definitely be in the show notes. If you have any feedback, you can always get in touch on social media. Scene Mom Says on Facebook and DColorAZ everywhere else. And you can always email scenemomsays@gmail.com. If you like what you hear, please share. I'm also an independent artist. Thanks as always for listening, and you'll hear me again soon. You've been listening to the Scene Mom Says podcast. Intro, outro music is Look Good for the Radio by Fairy Bones. Learn more about Danny and the show at dannycutler.com.